really quickly before we jump to the Q&A, I know we're a little short on time, but I do want to make sure everyone knows not to forget to register. Go to the GovCon BD Weekly page. You can register for the next event as well as for the December 8th event you see towards the bottom of the screen. We've already got Mark Amtower, Gloria, James Baker, Hillary Fordich, Bob Lofeld, Jim McCarthy, and there will be a couple of other additions to that list. So it's going to be a full panel of people, and again, it's going to be over an hour. I know we have an hour listed, but it'll be a little bit more than that, and it'll be your chance to ask questions for everyone. Also wanted to to plug another event that I'm actually moderating that I've put together. This is our virtual roundtable on federal government IT trends and spending priorities. Any questions you have and interest you have in federal government IT spending, we're going to have not only the chief technologist from HP, Venga Aaron Lee, who's the president and CEO of 3TI, and Quest Software, Kevin Plexico, who heads our research department, Brian Reed of Foxconn, and Josh Stevens from SolarWinds. So it's a great panel of speakers, and again, this is another opportunity. If you have questions about what's going on in the federal IT space, what are the trends, what are the opportunities, definitely want to register and tune in for that. You can get that information in the GovWin site, and we'll send an email around about that. So again, here's Gloria's contact information. We're also going to run a couple of quick polls as we dive into the questions. So the first question, Gloria, that I got from the website, this woman owns a small business. She's been in the private sector for a long time, over 16 years, and a lot of private sector experience. Wants to know, what's the trick for breaking into the public sector? They've been responding to large and small RFPs for both state, local, and federal jobs. So she's looking for advice on her first break. I don't know if you want to speak at a high level to a couple of things that she can look at to kind of get things moving.
Sure, Michael, I'd be happy to. And it sounds like as a small business, she's really working hard and chasing a lot of RFPs. What I'd really recommend is targeting a few agencies who meet her past performance perfectly. And instead of chasing every RFP that looks like she could do it, instead target the market first. So that, and especially related exactly to what her past performance is, because that's what is king in this market today. You have to be able to mitigate the risk in hiring you. Since she does not yet have experience at the federal level, use the past performance in the private sector. That's exactly what her specific target needs. Then she'll find the doors start to squeak open for her as opposed to being slammed shut.
Excellent. This person has asked, what is the difference between a differentiator and a value proposition?
They can be the same thing. It depends on who you're talking to. In the private sector, value proposition is a term that's more frequently used. The government market understands the concept of differentiators. They want you to say, this is what makes me different from my competition and why you should hire me, choose our company. A value proposition many times is a statement of what you do, as opposed to what makes it different than your competition.
Okay. Next question. How in a proposal would one specifically target different decision makers in the same statement?
Well, that's just it. You may not be able to do it in the same statement. So if you are, and I'm not talking about a proposal process so much because that's the end result of this, is writing the proposal. But during the relationship building process, when you're meeting with decision makers before the RFP hits the streets, you're meeting with the COTARs, with the contracting officers, with program managers, if you're a small business, with the OSDBUs. Then you want to tailor your differentiators to each one of them. If it's just at the proposal writing process, it's kind of late in the game. You need to be doing this ahead of time.
Okay. Great. And I know we're a little bit over, but let's try to run through this a little bit and get a couple more questions in. We also have another poll going on, too, about what areas in defining your company you need the most help with, whether it's creating a specific statement, identifying and focusing on customer needs. So take a couple moments, and we'll share those results at the end, because I think that would be interesting. When you look, Gloria, I'm going to ask a question. When you look at companies, and particularly companies that sometimes you deal with, or just companies you see in the marketplace as a whole, what do you think is sometimes the biggest challenge area for people when they're kind of looking at, putting out that first proposal? Is it understanding maybe who they are? Is it understanding how they differentiate from competition? I'd be curious to your thoughts about how you see that in the marketplace as it is today.
That's a very good question, Michael, because most of us have entered the marketplace as entrepreneurs. And being an entrepreneur kind of handicaps us, because the entrepreneurial mindset is we will solve whatever problem you have. Just give us a problem, we're going to fix it for you. And that does not work in the federal market. That attitude, it needs to be fine-tuned. And what I mean by that is because the federal market is so risk-adverse, instead of saying, give us a problem, we'll fix it, what we need to do is say, we know your problem, I've worked on your problem before, I fixed it this way, this is the proof I have, these are the people who are my, who can give you examples of how well we did. So you mitigate the risk totally. They feel much more confident in doing business with you. And that's where most of us don't really fine-tune our message. We just come in with, we're a great problem solver for you. You should work with us, not telling them the why, how, or who.
Right. So what I've done is I've shared the results for this most recent poll, and I'll just, if you're looking at your screen now, and then I want to make sure we get time to share Gloria's contact information again. So about 21% of the people who voted said that creating a succinct statement is their biggest challenge. 19% said identifying and focusing on customer needs. Really only 2% said that highlighting their benefits was probably the area they needed most help with. But then a larger percentage incorporating metrics into their proposals, 23%, and then 35% saying listing what separates your company from other competitors. So it's just an interesting breakdown. And before we kind of, because we're kind of really over the time, but before we kind of close things up, I was wondering if you just wanted to sum up or give some closing remarks for people as we kind of finish things up here.
This is one of the areas that if you can identify 2 or 3 strong differentiators, that is what will matter. Don't worry about having a whole list of them, because then it loses power. Relate your differentiators to the target, and you'll see results.
Excellent. Well, good. And for those of you, I know there was a couple of other questions that just came in just now, but what we'll do is we'll take those questions and we'll give them to you, Gloria, and then you can respond to people offline if that's all right. And then what we're doing today also is we recorded today's event. So at some point tomorrow, we'll send out an email the next day or so, but tomorrow everything will be available online, so you get a chance to go back, listen to this event again. We'll break it up into the presentation that Gloria did, as well as into the Q&A session. So you'll have 2 different videos, and you'll have the whole PowerPoint. So you get all those resources. Hey, Gloria, I want to thank you for your time. I know we went a little bit over, but I really appreciate the information. I think it's really helpful and very important information for a lot of companies out there. So thank you very much.
My pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the 8th.